Hey y'all, hey y'all, and welcome back to another episode of the Redefining Wellness Podcast. It's your girl Nique, and I hope that you are feeling wonderful, awesome, it's amazing, and all the things that makes you you. Welcome back to the podcast that helps you to redefine the way that you view wellness, one episode at a time, so that you can be healthy unapologetically and authentically, so that you can take up as much space on this earth as you want to. Y'all, thank you for coming back to the show. We have another super awesome people episode. Y'all know what I love to bring guests on to show you how they have redefined wellness through their fields, their expertise, all of the great things. But before we get into this episode, remember to like, rate, review, subscribe, follow, friend to tell a friend. If this is your first time here, hola, ¿cómo estás? If you have been here for a while, y'all know the vibes. Y'all know how we get down. For this week's Super Awesome People episode, I have Christian financial coach Janeen, hailing from the brotherly love city, Philadelphia. Y'all be wilding up there. I'm very familiar with Philly. Y'all be wilding up there, but I'm here for it. Janine, welcome to the show, babes.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. I truly appreciate you.
Yes. And what I love to do with all of my guests, I would love for you to describe yourself. How would you describe Janine?
Oh,
Yes,
I'm
to
about to
see that's how I
say,
put y'all on the spot.
how would I describe Janine? Oh my gosh, I think I wear a lot of hats. I think the first thing that I would say is Janine, I am a mom of three boys. They are 20, 18, and 16.
Okay,
So I
boy,
have all
mom.
boys. Yes, no girls at all. So I would first say that I am definitely a mom. And second, I would say a healthcare mom. I've been in healthcare for over 15 years. I did healthcare billing, administration, I did admissions, did registration in the ER. I worked at a level one trauma center for a while. Been in healthcare just probably like all of the hospitals in the city of Philadelphia. I probably worked at. So definitely a healthcare working mom. And also too, this probably should have been number one, I am a believer, I am a Christian, and I definitely talk about, well, just, with just, believing. I grew up in a church and grew up Baptist. So that's kind of like, the background. But I would say also too, being a financial coach. I am a financial coach. I'm a Christian financial coach because I think that there's one thing to have practical tips in reference to your finances, but there's another thing to invite God into it. And I would say people will probably be like, how did she get into finances? My mom is an accountant. So she really she taught us like the envelope method when I was like 6 or 7. Like she used to teach us, yeah, she used to teach us like every time like like have chores or whatever, and let's say it's $10, she would teach me that, okay, you need to put 10% to God, 10% to savings, and then you can spend the rest. So she just taught me that at a younger age, so then, developing those habits young and, taking it into adulthood, my mom will always be like, when I got a job, make sure you do the 401k, make sure you're doing this, like make sure you have the taxes adjusted, make sure. So I feel like that foundation really started me for like my love and interest in finances. But I will say, you know, being a mom, being a single mom, I was married for a couple years and then got divorced. And just being a single mom, I had to learn how to budget. I had to learn how to save my money, especially since it was just me, just depending and raising kids. That was definitely, like one of the hardest parts of my life. But, through God and budgeting and everything like that. So that kind of developed the brand Gracefully Simplified, because I feel like us as moms and as women, we give everyone else grace, but we don't give ourselves enough grace. when it comes down to it. So I kind of wanted to make sure that, I had a brand that spoke to that, like giving us, us as women, give yourself grace when it comes down to your finances, but also I know how it is being a mom and you wearing 1,000 hats. So we just want to do it the simplest way possible. So that's kind of what I teach on my, channel. My social media is, talking about personal finances, but making sure that it's in the simplest way possible. Putting some systems in place for you to, for you to budget, for you to save your money, get out of debt, and then, doing it gracefully, but also making sure that you incorporate God into it. So that's maybe it's kind of, kind of my like introduction.
Here for that. And I know you gotta know how to budget because 3 boys eat, 3 boys
Yeah.
grow,
Yeah. Yes, yes.
constantly eating, constantly growing. So you gotta have your ducks and your coins in a row.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So, as always on the show, y'all know how we get down. I like to start off with our 3 segments before we get into the meat and potatoes of today's episode. But I will preface y'all, please make sure to have a pad. Look, I got my little have a pad, have something ready because a lot of gems are going to be dropped since we're talking about finances. And this is our second finance episode of the year. So we're kind of just building on the blocks that were already created with Festina at the beginning of the year. So let's get into our first segment, Song of the Week. So this is a song or a show that you attended or an album that's out now or that you've heard that's just been great for you or something that you want to kind of rant about that you're like, y'all, this is awful. Don't listen to it. The musicality is terrible. So go ahead and dive into, is there a song, an album, or a show of the week you'd like to share?
I'm trying to think. I'm sorry, I'm trying to like look at the my like Apple Music for a second. What have I been listening to? You know what? Honestly, I have been listening to, and it's not really a song, and I don't know if this is like I've been listening to like and I'm just looking at this really quick on, and you probably have
Yeah.
to want to edit this out. It's like soulful, soulful vibes, calm vibes on YouTube where they're playing like live music, but it's not it doesn't have any words, but it's just like a vibe. And I've been like, listen to that. It's not really words, it's just like a soulful vibe, a R&B type of vibe. And like when I'm working, I just have been listening to that, honestly.
What you're talking about. So one of the
Okay.
things that I've been diving into on YouTube is the chill lo-fi playlist.
Yes, yes. What's the name of it? Yes, it's what it do. Like they have so many. I didn't even know. I didn't
Yes.
even know. I mean, this is something that I kind of stumble upon in YouTube. I'm like, where's this been at? I didn't, and it plays like 24 hours. Like it plays along. Okay. So I'm glad that I'm just not the only one. But yeah, I love that.
Yes, I love that YouTube. Like, I will get up, especially on like the weekends when I don't have to work. I'll get up, turn on one of those chill lo-fi playlists, and I'm cleaning or I'm just like sitting and journaling or something like that. Those things, chef's kiss. Like they get you through. And I actually found those playlists because they have like there's DJ sets. Like the new thing is the DJs do their sets on YouTube's or say they're having a house party, so they just put a camera up and it's the DJ spinning and people are in the background. And so YouTube was like, "Hey girl, you might like this too since you like these other things." And that's how I
Mm,
found the chill so lo-fis. And there's so many of them.
yes. Yep.
And they're not all bright. So you could turn your lights down low and it's not like super bright coming off your TV or your phone. Whoever decided to come up with those playlists on YouTube, I hope that you're a quadrillionaire and you get
Yes.
all of the streams because it's amazing.
It is amazing. And again, I just stumbled upon it. Like I don't know, like when I'm working, sometimes you don't really want to like have hear the words, and sometimes you just kind of want to, and I know like some creators on TikTok, they have like a co-working session sometimes, and they'll have like different music and stuff. So I'm like, okay, but like trying to just be more like productive. So that's why I was, looking for something like that. But yeah, I love it. So that's honestly what I've been listening to.
Yes, I love that because with me, I'll be doing work, and that's why I had to move over to, like, no words because 'cause I'll be doing work and I'm starting to sing the songs, and then I'm like, "Now I'm not doing any work because 'cause I'm singing
Me,
the song
exactly.
and having a good
Yes.
time."
Like sometimes words are distracting and I'm like, okay,
Yes,
I can't think and then hear the words at the same time. I thought it was just me. Like, yes.
yes, it's
Yeah.
trust, not just you. So then our next segment that we're gonna slide into is What's Sneak Watching? And I've kind of built upon this segment, y'all. So it's either What's Sneak Watching, What's Sneak Listening to podcast-wise, or What's Sneak Reading. So either a show, a book, or a podcast, or you can do all three. Is there a show, a book, or a podcast that you've kind of been diving into these days?
Yes. I think one of my go-to, especially as a financial coach, I definitely listen to Dave Ramsey's podcast. I'm about to say, let me see the name of it. I listen to it every day. What's it called? The Ramsey Show. And then also too, one of which is a really good podcast is for financial coaches and advisors. It's called the Financial Coach Academy. Yeah. So definitely I try to make sure that I'm like in the finance space because it's always stuff changing, different things. So yeah, I definitely like to listen to more of like financial podcasts. So
Yes, I one of the things that I have challenged myself to do this year is to listen to a little bit more, um, not tax advice, like, investing podcast. So, I don't know if does David Ramsey have where he does, like, "Hey" well, that's probably illegal, you probably can't really do that, like, give projections and stuff about, stocks,
mhm.
stuff, because. I think that might be illegal, but if there is a show where they're like, "Hey, this might be a good space to invest if you're looking at this
Yes.
or
Yeah.
based on these trends," that's something that I would like to dive into a little bit more this year. Does David Ramsey have that on his show?
So he doesn't he more he'll send people to like he has like a I think a collaboration with like tax pros and stuff like that. He'll send you to like financial advisors. He definitely will. But there definitely are investments because I definitely want to do that as well. Just to make sure like how what's the beginner ways to invest. So there are definitely podcasts out there. I think it's one like it's a couple that are like women and money.
Yes.
They are, it's definitely a lot of them on here. It's this what's her name? I actually found her on YouTube. She was on Wall Street. I think she's a financial advisor. She's big in the finance space and I forgot her name. I would have to let you know. She has a couple YouTube videos and she talks about the Roth IRAs. Like she definitely was like a financial analyst in like Wall Street. So she was high up in the finance world. And then she like has her own company and everything like that. So she's definitely a good one. I always like to support like black owned. I mean, not to say that I'm not, but it's just a little different when you see black women and power and money. So I just feel like but Dave Ramsey does have which he has entre leadership, which is all about entrepreneurs. That's a really good one that I've been starting to listen to as well. Just being an entrepreneur, different stages of it, how to deal with certain issues, hiring, firing, all like it just is absolutely. So yeah, that's
Okay, cool, cool. I wish I could say that I was doing more educational things, but one of the things that my therapist has me working on is like when I get off work, not to feel like everything has to have a purpose. So I have been watching the Upshaws. They're actually on their last season of the Upshaws. I love that show. It's really good. It's funny, it's short, you can kind of get through all 7 seasons actually rather quickly. My mom actually put me on the Upshaws. Mike Epps and, Kim Fields and Wanda Sykes are, like, the 3 principal characters. It's really, really funny. They do be cussing, but they're hilarious. But it's pretty wholesome at the same time. Like, it's not anything that's too outlandish. I would say think of it like your and I think it's a multicam show, but think of it like how we used to watch, like, stuff on, like, Fox and ABC, like, those type of sitcoms just on Netflix so they can cuss a little bit
Oh,
more and be a little bit more outlandish, but it's a really good show. I really like it, and they hit
mm,
on a good amount of topics, so one of the things that they hit on a few seasons ago was, of course, mental health, because that's a really big thing going on in the world right now, but more specifically, the mental health of Black women that are juggling so many hats and how not taking care of your mental health can affect your physical health.
yeah.
Because, sorry, guys, spoiler alert, Regina has a heart attack in one of the seasons. And so they go through the aftermath of how she deals with it, her family support, how, like, her job. They really dig into it, and I'm really happy to see Kim Fields, how she's evolved as an actress from being on The Facts of Life all the way to Living Single, all the way through, like, with all of her projects. So it's been a joy to watch and to see Wanda Sykes in a different type of role. It's been really good. It's a really good, like, we in the snow, Janine, turn on that Netflix and watch some.
Listen, I wish I could, but when I tell you as a business owner, it is always something to
Yeah,
do.
yeah,
Like, I just feel like, and then as a content creator too, I feel like, because a lot of, social media, first thing I'm thinking of like in the snow is like, okay, I have to do this, but okay, you know what? I need to, because I've been trying to, as a content creator,
yeah,
trying to batch my
yeah.
videos. I just can't do, like, I'm like, the first thing I think of like in the snow is like, okay, I could batch some videos. Let me try to, and it's just like, oh man. But then taxes, I also do taxes as well. And I was sitting up there doing my taxes as a small business owner, which I'm like, okay, that took me some time. So it's just like it's always something to do when it's not enough hours in a day.
Yes, it is, and I think for me being in, like, content creation, all this stuff for the last couple of years, I've told myself, "You need to carve out the time." I have to make myself carve out the time. I have to, and it's hard. It be hard. It's hard.
Like, some people was telling me, do you, like, cause some people were saying that they do like 15 videos, like batch it and then like start to edit, or do you just like, cause the thing about it is too, as a mom, healthcare, like I work that's 12 hours too during the day. Like, so the weekends is only the time where I'm really off, but I also have the coaching business. So I'm in between clients and and it's just like, it's hard, but it's like I know I have to get the content out for, so and again, like I've been just doing this since I wanna say started on TikTok in March. So I started my business in March. So but really like going live and everything since like August. So I'm just still trying to like juggle it and everything. So
I do batch my content. So what I try to do is I'll take them. I set up content days where I batch. So 2 days a month, I just do a whole bunch of content. I just batch everything out. And I'll look at what are some of the popular audios that's on at the moment. And I know this is helping somebody right now. Somebody's listening to it and they're jotting it down too.
yeah.
But I try to find what are some of the trending audios. Are there any trending, like, voiceovers or, editing ways and things like that? And I try to focus on that for at least the first few videos that I make. And then I do the videos that feel good for me. So ones that are like educational, where I'm just sitting and talking to, the screen. And then I do like B-roll content. So I just have my camera on while I'm cleaning or while I'm, doing something else, and, you can put words and stuff over it. So I try to make it into those 3 separate categories, and then as I go throughout the month, I'm like, I like this. Let me cut this up real fast and use this part of it and use
Mhm.
it to make content."
Um, okay.
Even if you do a B-roll, like, a really popular B-roll is, like, while you're driving or, you're getting ready, like a "Get ready with me," but it's, like, a quick sped up B-roll. So,
Mhm.
like, those work really well, but, like, I just go with what feels good. If I'm like, "Oh, I feel like I wanna talk about this today," or, "This is sitting on my spirit," let me release that out, but when I'm telling you, I've gone through the burnout, so I try to tell myself, "You need to sit down and listen to something that's funny." So, like, I listen to The Read a lot. I'm actually behind, which is a good thing, so I have time to catch up on it. Or I watch cartoons a lot too because it just eases my mind, it eases my nervous system, and it's something where I'm not thinking about work and other people. I'm just focused on enjoying this moment for myself.
Mm. Okay.
Yeah.
I need to take a page from your book. I'm like, I'm always thinking of something like, I need to do this, I need to do that. But I definitely, sometimes I do have to, you have to learn to unplug and just like, sometimes I'm like, okay, let me just because I also feel like when you're constantly thinking about it, like the ideas is like, they're the like new ideas can come once you like take a step away, and then I'll come back and be like, oh yes, I should do this, you know what I mean?
And keep a
Yeah.
little pad next to you or
Listen,
nearby.
I do. I
Yes.
have a business notebook and a business like calendar, and I write when I be writing everything down, like, oh yeah, I should do this, or maybe I should roll this out. Like I have to, because then I'm like, man, I'll be like, Dad, what did I think about? So yeah, I definitely do that.
Or even too, voice notes. Like, if I think of, like, a content idea and I have my phone, I'll make a quick voice note. "Hey, girl, I thought about this and I thought this is really funny. Let's talk about this. Like, let's make a video about this." I do that a lot.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
It helps. It's really helpful.
All right.
It's and it goes with, like, the creating systems and stuff too.
Hmm? Huh? I'm like, I need to be better with it. Like, it's hard.
It's
But
okay.
yeah.
Consistency, I've had to learn consistency is more important than perfection.
Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah.
Cause I think for me too, as a content creator, as a live host, like I go live like 4 to 5 times a week, which is so much easier for me because like I just co-stream and I go live. I'll have the topic that I'm talking about, so I'll prepare that. But I don't have to edit. It's on my YouTube. Now I have so much live that I probably can cut that content up, which I need to. Um that way, it's like I'm live. You can ask me questions about, I'm teaching a finance class or whatever. And that's it. Like, I don't, I don't have to do, the extra stuff. So I'm like, oh man. But going live is another thing too. Like, so many people in the comments, you read and it's like, pull you. So yeah. Either
Yeah.
way, it's just,
It takes a lot of energy, and and I think this is a perfect little segue into the next segment, and so my therapist said, and one of the things that my therapist has helped me to work on is because I am a overly achieving Black woman, like many of us are, and also I'm the eldest child, so that is a slew of self-pressure that I've created for myself, and it got to the point where I'm in undergrad and I'm juggling all of these, different activities. I'm on boards for all of these things. I'm doing all this stuff into my adulthood where I'm trying to juggle like 3 or 4 jobs. And as it's so funny, so I was literally just telling my homegirl last night, I remember I had my full-time job and I was teaching cycle 3 times a week, and I was personal training at this gym 2 or 3 times a week. So I was all over the city. I was zoop, 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 everywhere. And it came to the point where I remember sitting in my apartment and I like had a whole panic attack by myself in my apartment. And I didn't know like why I was experiencing this. And then years later, when I got the therapist that I have now, she was like, "You put so much pressure on yourself to reach this." Whatever this goal is, whatever this thing is that you're trying to reach, you're putting so much pressure on yourself to be that. Who said that you have to be that? Where did you
Mm.
get this ideology that you have to be that? And so we're breaking down, all of these things because that's what you have to do in like cognitive reframing. So her focus for me for the last couple of years, which has been amazing, is you when you're not doing all of these things? Who are you when you get off work? That's what I want you to focus on. Yeah, you're awesome at work. Yeah, you do all these things. But when you get home, who are you? And I was like, damn, girl, you right. Who am I?
Oh, I
So
know.
she's had me, it's been a lot. It's been a lot of work. It's been she'll ask me how work is. She'll ask me about my family. She'll ask me about dating. But what's more important to her is how's the social life, Anthony? What did you do that wasn't work related? What have you done that's not podcast related? What have you done that's not content related? And she's really been trying to get me to not feel like I have to share so many parts of me because I think that's what we kind of get caught up in as content creators, especially the type of content that I do. Sometimes I feel like, oh my gosh, I should share this. I should share this. She's like, no, don't be sharing all that stuff with them people. She was like, if
Mhm,
you want to
mhm.
sit at home and knit, no one has to know that you sit at home and knit. Or if you want to go just frolic in the park, you don't have to people don't have to know that. Have something for you that is you outside of what everybody else sees, and that's okay. And so that's something that's been showing up a lot more for me lately, especially with it being the winter time and, I'd be cooped up in the house. She's been like, no, you need to go and create more community and really tap into all of the things that you are when you're not working and when you're not performing, essentially. Let's tap into those parts. So, yeah.
I definitely can agree. I would say I went to my girlfriend's house on Friday, and she sees me online. She's like, "Oh, it's a budget coach." She said that, but I'm like, but it was just I realized it was such a great time for it to just be me and her, like, not performing, not on live, not like and I realized that I need to make sure that I still carve out that time for real relationships in my life, that is meaningful to me. So it was just so important just to like have a glass of wine and just to catch up. And it was so good.
It's to my therapist, I've been telling her, I was like, I want us to go back to how we were before like social media kind of took over and actually be more like in person. So one of my goals, actually I have a few goals this year. One of them is to host more like girls nights or more girls gatherings. So I'm hosting one for me and my close girlfriends. Kelly Rowland has a movie coming out in February on Amazon Prime with Method Man. So I said, "All right, y'all, I'm gonna come over. Let's watch it. Let's have snacks. Let's do the whole thing." And then I want to host a cookout this year. Like I just want to bring people together again because I feel like that's missing. And that's one of my outside of work things about me is I like to organize things. My dad always says I should have been in HR. He was like, he was like, "You're very HR coded, like, you be doing icebreakers," and I love that, I like to connect people together, and, but I've been really trying to understand how I hone into that a little bit more and, like, find that balance because, like you said, we need more of those moments where it's not about your representative that 8
Mhm.
hours a day, but it's more about who you are the other 16 hours of the day.
Yes, that part.
Yes. Yes,
That part right
that right
there.
there. So, we're gonna go ahead and slide into this week's main topic and main conversation. This is where y'all get out your notepads, get out your sticky notes, because I think that this will be really important for all of us. It's still the top of the year, so we can hone in on having better budgeting habits. Okay. So, other than you kind of having it in your lineage of dealing with money, what was your main reasoning of wanting to help single moms, but also healthcare workers with being able to balance their finances and to just have a better quality of life?
Man, I would say, because I think I definitely started with the single moms, but I realized just being in business and having a business coach as well. He's like, Janine, you're gonna have to pivot a little bit. And I think that I will be doing more of like a nonprofit for single moms. Because I definitely still think that that's an untapped community that definitely needs the financial help. But I was like, the pivot was definitely appropriate for the healthcare because being in the healthcare space, being around nurses, doctor, upper management, I was in, a management position. It was like we make great money, right? You make great money. That's not the issue. The issue is, I think, people don't realize the mental toll that it takes on the frontliners or people that are in healthcare, your nurses, your doctors, your, even CNAs, it takes so much of, and of course it's more like service based, so much to deal with families, to deal with patients, to deal with doctors, all of that, so much, all the time. And people like burnt out, healthcare burnout is definitely real. But making all that great money, but still not having anything to show for, it, still living check to check, not having an emergency fund. Number one, I would say that I've seen all the time. I used to work 7P to 7A overnight shifts. So everybody, the overnight shift is a definitely different type of life. And
It is.
I did that for 10 years.
Woo!
So it just was like, I know. Listen, I tell people all the time, I put my time in. Listen, when it came down 7P to 7A, listen, we overnight shift and it's just a different animal and it's a different type of people that work that shift. And a lot of us was, convenience spending. It was just like a thing in the hospital, like, where y'all ordering out from? Okay, well, let's take list of, orders. Okay, we ordering from this restaurant. We ordering from, and again, it's like, it was moments where I said, what, let me reel in the convenience spending. Let me bring my food, like my lunch to work. I would bring my lunch to work and still people would be like, girl, we got you. It's just like, then you got patients and families that give you food. And I'm like, even though people in healthcare, like, they do not eat well at all. It's because you're on the go. The nurses are 12, so many patients going on. You have, the nurses, their ratio, their assignments, they got a lot of patients. They don't have any help. They short staff. It's like so much that they're dealing with. They barely can have a break. I know for me, my job, I work 12 hours, I barely had a break. Barely. I mean, if I was to sit up there and be in the bathroom, I would have the phone with me because they'd be calling me like, well, we need something. Like, it's just so much of always want to go. Being in level one trauma hospital, it just was a lot. So I say all that to say that I definitely wanted to help those in there because it's just, not to say that not to say that I don't, help others, but it just, I felt like my heart was there because that was me, right? Like, I am you. And they say that, your customers and your customers are a reflection of you. So that's why I feel like it was just like a niche to just help, healthcare workers because they definitely need it. Because I think also too, people will say that since you make great money, like, they automatically equate that making great money that means that you're good with your finances, and it's not.
Very true. One of the things that I remember that I spoke to you about this before we started recording was the the conversation of I need to make more money in order to save money or in order to budget. How would you debunk that? What is the real that we should be doing?
Man, okay, so I would debunk that and say you don't need to make. I mean, sometimes it really just depends on I always tell people personal finances is personal and everyone's looks different. So in some scenarios, depending on your goals, that may be an issue where you need to make money. But I feel like majority of the time it's not. It's the spending habits. And I tell people all the time, I tell my clients, which most of us don't do, I said if you want to know your relationship with money or understand your relationship with money, track your expenses. That's like the foundation that I tell people. And I know it's kind of a cliche thing that people will say, but it's like track your expenses. So that's like the tip number one. Track your expenses. There's so many apps out here that you can use. It will expose you to your money because you think that you spend a certain amount or you think you do that and literally you'll be surprised. I literally had my client is one of my clients now. I had her track her expenses and she was like, Janine, I just thought I spent like a little bit on this. She's like, I was blown away. So again, like I was saying, it's not so much of because I've also met people that made like 40 to 50,000 or 30 to 40,000 a year, but they live below their means, you know, maybe, don't like buy the lavish stuff and they live within their means and still have the ability to save. And then I've had clients that have made 150, 250K and don't have any savings, still live check to check because their lifestyle creep has just risen to the level of their income. So, and I would almost say too, it's almost like the analogy of, if somebody win the lottery and they win the lottery and they got millions of dollars. And usually there's a percentage of certain people that even if they went, had millions of dollars, that they're usually broke within the 5 years because they haven't learned how to manage their money well. So just because you have $1 million, that doesn't mean that you know how to manage it. Um, so yeah, that's what I would say to debunk that. It's not necessarily the amount of money, but it's how you steward it and how you manage it.
That you mentioned that I think is important for a lot of people to understand is the emergency fund. How much money should one have in their emergency fund? And I know it's probably personal to, your what you got going on in your life, but generally, how much should we have in our emergency fund? Or how should we set that up?
So I would say, and I know, like again, like a lot of my, financial advice and a lot of things is I feel like it's Dave Ramsey inspired, right? But I feel like I use a more graceful approach. He's more like strict and rigid. I would say in 2026, your minimum for your emergency fund should be 2,500. That should be like your minimum. Now, again, and again, I know I get clients like, gee, 2,500, like I barely could save 500. So that's why I say it's really different for every person, their level of income, how much margin. Because usually sometimes I have clients that spend so, make great money, but all of it's going out. So they like 2,500 could seem so large, but it's baby steps. So let's say, the savings challenge that I'm, doing in my community. Let's say that we work our way up to 25. Let's say that you don't have anything. Let's start to save the first 500. Let's start there. Okay. What can we look at to save there? And then we gradually, but we would work towards getting towards 2,500. Now, do I feel that 2,500? I feel like is the base because I tell people all the time, because I get this question all the time. Janine, what should I do first? Should I save or should I pay off debt? So I always say get the emergency fund of the 2,500. Leave it there, put it in a high yield savings account. Make sure it's gaining some compound interest for you. Just let it sit there. And then now we need to aggressively pay off the debt because we definitely want to get those debt and credit card payments down. Now, I will say, if you don't have any debt, no credit card debt, student loan debt, or anything like that, as a single, and I'm just talking to my single moms, the goal is 6 months of your bills in an account. That's the goal. But basically, before that time, the 2,500 will be the minimum, definitely for sure.
That I like that. And one of the things that you had said too was, build up to it. I think that 25, we think like, damn, I gotta put that money over, right now, that can be scary, but I like the build up.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. And then something else that you had said too about like tracking your expenses. Everybody's bank, I think nowadays has some type of like tracker thing. So my bank did one on me. It said, "Hey girl, we got a little tracker now. We can tell you where your money is going and how you're spending it." So then I said, "Oh man, all right, let's look at this." And I saw how much I spent eating out for 3 straight months in a row. And my homeboy was like, "Dang, you coulda bought a car." Like, he was like, "Dang, you coulda did this, you coulda did that." And I was like, "My gosh, but he's not wrong." And so, I think one of the things that a lot of us have difficulty with is, like, facing, like, "Wow, this is
Yes.
actually what I be doing, and
Taking
I need to
records.
change some things." And change is hard for a lot of us.
It
Y'all know I
is.
talk
It
about this
is.
all the time on my show. I am a Taurus through and through. A routine. I do the same thing every day. That's probably to my detriment sometimes, but we have to change up our habits and seeing how our habits affect us. That's the greatest way to make change. 'Cause
And here's what I would say to that, because I get that all the time. I've had clients that ask me, Janine, I just really can't look at the debt. Can you just like, they're just scared to look at the debt. I have people, they don't open their mail, they avoid it. And I say that's why I say the brand is like Gracefully Simplified, because you got to give yourself grace, right? Because you can't, what we can't do when we expect change, you can't shame yourself into it, right? You can't, the shame and the fear will keep you stuck and it won't allow you to move forward. And I always tell my clients, my community, we can't, we can't fix what we don't face. And I said, I know probably people like, you can't fix what you don't face. So if you don't face the numbers, we can't fix it. Now, it is one, and then there's a level of awareness as well. Like, yes, it may be scary to walk through it. Yes, it may be like, oh my gosh, I didn't believe I was in this much debt. But then I say it's freedom and peace on the other side of that. Because once we know, now we can build a strategy and a plan to tackle it. I think it's, people are like, oh my God, like I had so much debt or I had this. And again, we have to walk through that. One of the psychologists that I listened to, he said, like, when it comes down to emotions of shame, fear, or guilt, you got to walk straight through it. You can't walk around it. You can't walk on the side. You got to walk straight through it. But then also know that there is God's grace and his mercy is new every day, and allowing yourself to say, you know what? God, I need you to give me strength to walk through this. I know this may be scary, or, maybe bringing in people that can help you walk through it and not have any shame, because I do feel like a lot of my clients feel like I should be better with money. I should be further than I am. I should have an emergency fund and I'm making six figures and all of the things. But I always say, the shame and the guilt and the fear, um, again, will keep us stuck in a lot of ways. So
with the emergency fund, I kind of want to slide back into that and kind of look at a little bit more of the budgeting side of things. And one of the things that you had mentioned was how David Ramsey, his approach is a little bit more strict. And I think that's what scares people is
yes.
is the strictness of a budget. Can you kinda talk a little bit to that? Because I know that that's part of the fear and the shame that people might feel, and it also goes back to what I was saying about consistency over perfectionism, and I think that keeps folks from adhering to a budget. The fear, the shame, and the fear around what they think is being perfect in your budget.
Now that I feel like I talk about all the time is a couple of things, definitely when they think of a budget, people, I ask my community all the time, what is the first thing that you think about? And they think about restriction. And I'm like, I want to change your mindset around thinking about a budget as like restricted, like I can't do, and think of it as just an organized way for your money, like not a restriction. And I tell people all the time, the budgeting like advice as a financial coach is like, I want to help you create a budget that's realistic for you. So if you know that you're going to have times as a mom, like fast food is part of my budget. If I was to sit up there and say, I'm never going to eat out again, you're going to constantly keep failing on the budget because you're going to constantly go over or spend more. Or so I think is very critical to create realistic budgets for you. If you know that your hair is important, your nails are important, your lashes, I always say put it in the budget. Now, listen, we always can make sure that we tailor the amounts, right? We can monitor that because I always tell people too, like we want the budget to also reflect your goals. What's your goals? So if your goals is to save a certain amount or get out of debt, okay, so what areas can we tweak a little bit? What areas is this, you know what, Janine, you know what? My hair, this is important to me, but you know what? I probably can let go a couple of these subscriptions. And it's finding that balance that I teach my clients. And this is, one of the things because I always say to you, I don't teach like I don't want you to budget based on deprivation because you will not sustain it. So I do not want you to deprive yourself and say, okay, I can't never have this. I can't, like whatever is important to you, like the level of importance for me may be different to you and vice versa. So I always, teach my client, we need to build a budget that's realistic because the biggest thing I want you to be able to sustain it. I don't want you to be able to do it over a period of time. So that's one of the myths that I just, teach, I talk about to create a realistic budget for your life. So that's big.
To point out to everybody that's listening or watching that there is something that Janine said that I've been telling y'all for almost 3 years is you want to find something that you can sustain and maintain. This is very aligned when it comes to because a lot of people want to lose weight, right? And so I always emphasize you want to find a diet because people think the same thing with diet. Diet and debt
Mhm.
kind of go hand in hand.
Yes.
And people tend to think that when I go on a diet, I have to restrict, I have to deprive myself, I have to do these things. And then they deprive themselves so much they can't sustain that deprivation, like you mentioned, and they may lose the weight, they may save the money, they may do this, but you can't hold on to that for a long period of time. You're gonna fall back into your old ways, or when it at least comes when it comes to the fitness side of things, weight loss, you're not gonna be able to hold on to eating that little bit of food that y'all be eating and depriving yourselves. You're gonna put that weight right back on. It's gonna come back, babes. Just like you gonna run back to the McDonald's.
Yeah.
You gonna
Yes.
run it right back. Um, and and something I do want you to touch on for any listeners or watchers that may not know, a high yield savings account. What is that and what is the benefit of it? And do you have any high yield savings accounts that you recommend for someone that could possibly be looking into one?
Well, yes, I did a couple lives on high yield savings. So you can also check my YouTube out. High yield savings. I definitely did it. So you can check out, But okay, so a high yield savings account is a savings account with higher interest. So I would say the typical savings account that you get from your regular banks when you open up a checking and a savings account, usually this savings account, you're getting under 1% of the interest. And that's nothing. Your money's not going to grow. But a high yield savings account, typically I say right now in 2026, now again, it depends on the Federal Reserve and it depends on the market. But I would say the minimum right now for the high yield saving is 3.5% or higher. And again, you're going to gain more interest on your money. So basically the concept is when you're putting your savings, when you're putting your money into a high yield savings account, you gain interest every month. And the interest is going to be higher because again, it's at the 4% rather than the under 1% that a regular savings account is. And the more money that you put into the high yield savings account, the more interest. So that's where the compound interest comes in at. A couple ones that I do recommend. I do have a high yield savings account. So I'm gonna answer that. Yep. Couple ones that I recommend. Capital One is a great one. It's a high yield savings. I always tell my community and just tell people you gotta be careful because banks are slick. So number one, they just are not typically just giving you this 4% without some without some stipulations to it. So I would say SoFi is another one. It's an online bank. And the online banks tend to be able to um they're able to offer the the people higher interest rates because they don't have an overhead. So the online banks is definitely a great option. SoFi is one. I think their interest rates right now is around 4%, maybe a little less than, but their direct deposit, they have a direct deposit requirement. I think it's 1,500 or more going into the check, just the savings account. So again, I always tell my community and like, make sure you ask these questions. What is the stipulations to getting the 4%? Because there's usually some. I do like Capital One, which their interest rates is a little bit lower, but there's no minimum requirement because some of these accounts have a minimum requirement as well. There's no minimum requirement and there's no direct deposit requirement either. So Capital One, SoFi is another one. I'm trying to think of what's the third one that I would recommend. And I just talked about this. SoFi, Capital One. What's another one I'm trying to think of? That dag is right off. I'm trying to think about what I talked about. It's a couple of them. It's definitely I think Marcus and what's that one?
I've heard of Marcus from Goldman Sachs, I wanna say.
Yes, they have one. I don't know their stipulations to it. I would say look it up. Make sure you look it up. It was another online one that I don't know why my mind is drawing a blank. But I was always tell people make sure that you do your research, call, make sure you again, like make sure you do your research and see if there are any stipulations. Are there any minimum requirements? How much do you have to keep in the account to get the 4%? Do you have to have a direct deposit in there? These are all the important questions that you wanna ask.
You did do a post about money market versus high yields account. Imma make sure y'all go to her page and watch that video because it was really good. Because I know some people ask about money markets and CDs
Market
and
account.
all of those
Yes.
things, so go to Janeen's page and make sure that y'all take a look at that. That's gonna be really important.
Yes, I get that X all the time. What about a money market account? What about? And I did that on there, like well, you can watch the YouTube too
Yes.
as well, where we did a whole live on that. And I want to make sure, and I realized too, like being in a finance space, like the terms, we're so familiar with, but I feel like the average person, you hear these terms, but you might not necessarily know it or understand it. So I was like, I want to make sure I do more content for the everyday person that's not in the finance space, that is just like, okay, what's the difference between a CD and a money market? Which one is better? Which one should I do? So yeah, I want to make sure I do more content like that.
Yes, yes. And going back to the space of budgeting, a lot of people do the 50-30-20. Now, is that something that you would recommend, or do you have another little, like, this is actually better, guys? Dive into this a little bit more.
So I would say I would have to do my research. The 50-30-20, I haven't personally done. I know there's different methods, and I probably need to talk about that too as well. I follow the zero based budget.
Okay, okay, I've heard of that.
Yeah. So, and a lot of people are like, so what is zero base? So that means you don't have any money? Like it's going to be zero. And it's just like, no, it's not going to be zero. You're not going to have zero money in your account. It's just honestly assigning a job to every single dollar. So let's just say after you pay all your bills and you have $200 left over. So instead of you just saying like, you know what, I'm just going to keep the $200 in the account and I'm just going to use it for like whatever, we're going to assign the $200 a job. So what is it going to do? Okay. So is it going to be, maybe we'll put 50 to savings. Maybe we'll put 50 to fast food. Maybe, and there is, and I tell people all the time too, is maybe you could just say, cause I have, cause I'm a cash budgeter too as well, you guys. So I do follow the cash envelope method. So I do cash envelopes. You can honestly do like, this may be my miscellaneous. That's a category. That's still, if you guys say, you know what, I don't really know if I want to save it. I don't really know if miscellaneous is still a category and it's still assigning instead of it just sitting there. And it's like, oh, okay, well, I've just see, you can say, you know what, I really don't know. Let me just put it in as miscellaneous. Miscellaneous, okay, miscellaneous can be anything. but it's still a category and we're still assigning it. So it's like, okay, this is in the miscellaneous category. And then just being aware. And then that way it will help with the, tracking as well. Cause you put it in the miscellaneous. So it's like it can fall under so many different categories, but you'll know, okay, I got $200 for miscellaneous. The zero based budget, I like it because again, I am organized. I feel like I have the type A personality. I'm very organized. I'm very detail oriented. I write everything down. And, managing your finances, you definitely need to be organized. And especially if you a business owner, oh yeah. You definitely need to make sure you organize. So, and again, I also teach that let's put some systems in place, especially for my mom, my healthcare workers. When you tired, you exhausted, you don't work that 12-hour shift and you don't feel like looking at a bank statement, you don't feel like doing anything. We're going to put some systems in place to make sure that the systems is going to carry you on the days that you are tired. I think also too, one of the things that I talked about, which I need to talk about, is your survival number, which is kind of a new concept. And it's like a survival number. And it's like the number that needs to go into your account money wise, like for your bills. Like, this is a number that I know I need to have. Everything will be running and functional. Like that's my survival number. I know I need to have X, Y, and Z. Now, anything over that is like, okay, that's when we can assign and we can do that. But I need you to know your survival number. So it's like, and then, again, I know I'm like, man, I can go on a tangent because I also talk about make sure you organize your money. Listen, if you have one account and you trying to have your bill account, no. Like, we need to organize. You need to have one account that's strictly for your bills. That is it. I'm listening. All your fixed expenses, your bills, one account. And then you need to have a separate account for your spending. And then the third one needs to be your high yield savings. So the three most important accounts you need to have: a bill account, a spending account, and a high yield savings.
I remember I started doing that during COVID. I had the different accounts, and that actually was really helpful. It helped me to save money. And it also even helped when I would go out and I would know, all right, I'm going out. So this is the account for me to go out with, and I'm not going to like mix money or mix responsibilities and stuff. So that was truly helpful for me, and I still do that to this day. So I have like my 401k account, I have my investing account, I have my bills account, and then I have my savings account, and then I have my fun girl.
That's right. Listen, all of that. I love it. And it's all organized in a way. Listen, my bill account, I don't spend out of. My spending account, that's where I spend. And, because at the end of the day, when you know the balance, listen, when you get it to zero, it's zero. But you know that, okay, I'm maybe zero in this account, but I know my bills is still being paid because there was a point in time for me in my life where I would have everything in one account and then I would realize that I would overspend and then now my bills is late. Now I don't have enough money for the electric or the gas because I done spent too much on groceries. And it's just like, oh, okay, now I'm, going into the negative and now, I'm paying fees and
Yeah, even like so I use a separate account for like when I eat out or even if I just go get coffee. I use this account. All right, if I'm going to I'll use that one. I'm not going to use this one. And being organized, and I'm glad that you said that at the very beginning of the show, because what it tapped into me was just like you organize your home, you like things to be in a certain place, you like your money has to do the same thing. So it's like all the concepts in our lives are essentially intertwined with the same types of systems. And we just have to understand how to transfer those systems to the different concepts or different pieces. Or let me put it into more of a space for this podcast into our different scopes of wellness for our life, because financial wellness is a part of our overall wellness. And a lot of these concepts that we have from physical, mental, and everything, they all are intertwined together.
one of the sayings that I always say is if your mind is chaotic, your money will be too. I'll say it again. I say it all the time. Like, and I'm literally like, that's one of the sayings. They be like, Janine, like, I say it all the time. If your mind is chaotic, your money will be too.
And again, it's intertwined. It's like, because I know me, when I'm like, if I have so much going on at work and I'm like, and when my house gets to a point where it's chaos, and then my money, I'm like, wow, throw everything up in the air. That's so true. That is so true. When my mind is more at ease, when my home is organized, my money, I can sit down, I can organize my money. It just, life just feels more cohesive and it makes more sense. But that's why it's having the systems, like you said, having the systems in place so you can maintain that organization. And the same thing with systems when it comes to mental health, guys. Create systems for your mental health as well, and there won't be as much chaos in your own personal life.
Yep.
I feel like this is where the spirit said, "That's where cut it right there, babes." That's Janine, how can the people find you on social media? How can we dive into one of your lives? Give us all the tea. And of course, all of the social media links, y'all, will be in the episode description and in the YouTube video description.
Sure. I am Gracefully Simplified on all platforms. Well, my name is Janeen, the Christian finance coach, but the handle will be Gracefully Simplified on all of them. Listen, I'm live on TikTok Monday through Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So come check your girl out on TikTok and be like, oh, I'm going to go on her live. Come on TikTok. So I do co-stream. So when I'm live on TikTok, I also am live on Facebook and YouTube. So you can go to my channel. Again, it's Gracefully Simplified on all platforms. So if you're like, oh, I don't really do TikTok, then come watch me on Facebook or YouTube because I do co-stream and I am live on all of that at the same time. I'm like, I need to do a LinkedIn. I need to update my LinkedIn. I am on LinkedIn, but I need to add that. So I am going to add the business page to be on LinkedIn. But yeah, right now, I am on IG as well. So IG, YouTube, TikTok, Facebook. I'm also on Pinterest as well. I'm all
Yeah.
over. I'm on
On
threads too
everything.
as well. So it's just like you can find your girl all over.
Yes, yes. Well, thank you so much for joining us on the show. And I think this will be a big thing to probably jumpstart somebody's budgeting journey to make them feel a little bit safer to budget and healthier to budget. As always, y'all, thank you so much for listening to the show. Do not forget to like, rate, review, subscribe, tell a friend to tell a friend, and tap that bell so that you can get notified of when new episodes on YouTube drop. Remember, you sharing, subscribing, all the things helps to grow me in the algorithm so that more people can see all of the fun stuff that we do on this corner of the internet. As always, y'all, thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for watching. And thank you for being uniquely fit. See ya. Yay! Janine!